DreAllDay.com.
Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. Topic of this video is setting your standards and how having set standards is something you should apply to every aspect of your life. I'll figure out what I want to title this, but what I was thinking about was actually this morning I was on a walk with my son who's almost a year old, and at one point during my walk I was behind this other guy who was apparently a dad. He had a stroller as well, and he had a kid who was probably somewhere around my son's age. And I got to thinking about, you know how they say dad bods, like when a dad or when a man has a kid, and then that first couple years, because of the responsibilities of being a parent, they're not able to exercise the same. So dads, they lose muscle, and then they kind of get a little bit chubby, and they're just out of shape and all that stuff because they got a whole bunch of stuff going on that is not like working out and going to the gym like they were before. So the dad bod is kind of like this, you're like semi out of shape, but it's tongue-in-cheek, cute and funny because the trade-off is the responsibilities of being a dad. And I got to thinking about that because my child is almost a year old, and I'm in, I would probably say, better shape now than I was a year ago before my child was even born. And I remember thinking about that because I have friends, male friends, who had kids who are older than mine, and they got in worse shape and lost their physical capabilities and got in worse shape after they had kids because the responsibilities of being a dad did cause them to lose their fitness. They didn't work out as much. So the dad bod thing, it's a kind of a funny meme type thing, but it is a real thing because a lot of dads, that's what happens, that something has to give because their responsibilities are taking care of the kid. And one of the things that goes first for a lot of people, I know this happens with moms definitely, because mom has a different responsibility than dad, so I'm not talking about the moms, but one of the things that does go for a lot of people when push comes to shove is they give on the fitness aspect of things. But personally, I did not give on the aspect of fitness. And I remember thinking about it before my child was even born, like this time last year. And I was thinking, man, when I have a kid, because I remember I have female friends also who have kids, and they would say, oh, well, Dre, the reason why you're able to do X, Y, Z because you don't have kids. When you have kids, you'll see. And I personally, over this last year of having a child, I don't think I've sacrificed on any of the things that were really important to me. I don't think I've sacrificed on any of those things. And what I have done instead is I had to kind of tighten up my schedule. I had to sharpen up what I was doing. I had to be more efficient with what I was getting done. So maybe I can't spend as much time doing things, but I still had to get the same things done. So my efficiency had to go up, discipline had to go up, and all of this has nothing to do with the whole dad bod concept. Some of you are not dads, and some of you are not even parents, and some of you got kids that are even way older than 1 year old. So that's not really what this is about. Let me tell you what it is about. It's about having standards. And what I mean by that is this. One of my personal principles, which is reflected in my standards, is that I will always be in professional athlete shape. I don't play professional sports anymore, but I always want to be in the shape that if I walked into a room of people who don't know me and I said, hey, I'm a professional athlete, and everybody just looked at me and they just looked at my physique and the way I physically present myself, would they believe it? And for me, the standard is even if I'm not playing a sport, if I tell you I'm a pro athlete, you should have no reason to not believe me. That's, for me, my standard. I'm not saying you have to have that standard. What I am saying, though, as I was thinking about this on my walk this morning when I was looking at that other dad, was that we can have this kind of standard for any aspect of our lives. So let's say you want to set that kind of standard when it comes to your finance, the amount of money that you're generating from your work or in your business, when it comes to your personal relationships, when it comes to fill in the blank, but whatever you're doing, how many of your products you're selling, how many followers you got on your social media, whatever it is that you have going on that matters to you, what standards do you want to set so that this is the baseline, nothing less than this is acceptable? And then the most important part of having a standard, folks, is that two important parts. Number one is what structure are you going to put in place to make sure that those standards actually get reached? Because if you set something as a standard, it has to get reached. It's not a negotiable. Standards are non-negotiable, by the way. Principles are non-negotiable. So if you say something's a principle, that means you absolutely must do it. If you're not doing it, or you do it sometimes and not all the time, then it's not a standard. It's a preference. That's not a standard. So a standard means you got to always be doing it, number one. So you got to put the structure in place to make sure that you can actually achieve it with the structure. Can this structure produce this outcome consistently? That's one part. And the second part is, are you willing and able to be held accountable for that standard? Whatever the standard is going to be, where's the accountability to make sure that that thing actually takes place? And that accountability can come from, actually should come from a combination of things. Combination of yourself, of course. You're telling yourself, all right, my standard is I'm be in great shape. Okay, that means when you don't feel like going to the gym, you still go to the gym. All right, that's part of the standard. That's part of it. The other part of the standard is who or what else can help you make sure that you hold yourself to that accountability. So even if you want to tell yourself, you want to do it with yourself, you also can enroll or enlist other entities outside of yourself to make sure that standard gets upheld. So all of that is part of setting those standards. And these standards, here's the important part of this, as I said a moment ago, is that you can set these standards for every aspect of your life. This doesn't have to be limited to just one thing. And it definitely doesn't have to be limited to something that you're already good at. As a matter of fact, the most important place where you can start using these standards is not in something that you're already good at. The most important place that you can start using standards is in areas where you are trash right now. All right, and let's just call it what it is. Areas where you are completely trash. If you start setting some standards, I guarantee that even though you may not become amazing at them by next week, you'll at least be a lot better than you are right now. Because if you're trash and you can admit that you're trash, you can probably get at least to average. You at least get the mediocre. Can we agree? If you just start setting some standards as to what are the baselines that I want to achieve in this area. And then as you get better and you start to make the baseline the normal, now you can raise the standard again. Then you can raise it again. Then you can raise it again. But it starts with you actually setting a standard, deciding that there needs to be a standard, setting the standard, putting a structure in place to make sure you hit the standard, and then the accountability. The accountability, again, is two parts. You with yourself, because if you don't actually believe that you can do it, then you're not going to allow the accountability to work. And then having other pieces in place that will allow you to make sure you hit that accountability. So, for example, if your standard, for example, is being in shape, yes, you hold yourself accountable, make sure you go to the gym, but also you can have a trainer at the gym to make sure you actually have a plan for when you get to the gym. What do? You ain't just gonna go to the gym and sit on the machines and play on your phone like you see some people doing in the gym these days. Like, that ain't gonna work. So you need a combination of both of those, and also make sure that your plan is being held accountable. So if you're executing your plan but still not getting the results, then that means we got to fix the plan, not fix the person. All right, so all of these pieces work together. So with all that said, this is a good starter kit for many of you who really want to make some changes, and whatever it is that you're doing is we got to look at what are the standards, what are the non-negotiables, what are the baselines for this thing. Text me, tell me the best idea you got from this. What are you going to do different based on what you heard? What have you done different based on what you heard? My number is 305-384-6894. And when you text me at that number, not only will I get it, I'll hit you back, but also you'll be in my text community, which means every day when I send out my text that I call the daily motivation, you'll be getting it free of charge straight to your phone. And that message is guaranteed to have you focused, sharp, and on point to start your day. And secondly, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. That is where all my high-level frameworks are. Things like Bulletproof Mindset, like 30 Days of Discipline, like the Work on Your Game system, like the Content Machine program, Sell Yourself framework. All of those are part of Work on Your Game University. Also, Work on Your Game University is the only place that I offer any level of coaching. Some people ask me, Dre, do you offer any coaching? The answer is yes. The only place to get it is in Work on Your Game University. So if you go to workonyourgameuniversity.com, you can schedule a time to get on a free call with me or somebody on my team about how to get coached by me. We got to see where you're at, where you want to go, how we can possibly help, if we can help. That's all at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre, all